Today, we're diving into the largest property crime in American history. Seriously, it plays out like a real-life heist movie, but this one has a mystery at its core that has stumped investigators for over 3 decades. Just look at that number, $500 million. That's the mind-boggling estimated value of the 13 priceless pieces of art that just vanished in a single night from Boston's Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Gone. So the big questions are, right? Who in the world pulled off this incredibly audacious robbery? How did they do it? And where did $500 million worth of masterpieces just disappear to? Okay, so let's rewind the clock. The night is March 18th, 1990. And you know the crazy part? The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum was right in the middle of a complete security system upgrade. Talk about bad timing. That little fact is going to become a huge part of this mystery. So let's meet one of our key players, Richard Abath. He was a music school dropout, played in a local rock band, and yeah, by his own admission, he wasn't exactly the world's most dedicated security guard. He actually thought the job was incredibly boring. And you gotta understand, Abath's habits on the job are a really crucial part of this story. He was known for being super casual about it. Sometimes he'd even show up for his shift still feeling it after a band gig. Now, he swears he was sober on this particular night. But his history of, let's say, bending the rules, well, that's a detail we just can't ignore. It's 1:24 a.m. and the buzzer rings. Outside, 2 guys dressed up as police officers. Their strategy was so simple, so clever, and it exploited every single security weakness. They said they were responding to a disturbance call, which totally seemed plausible because it was St. Patrick's Day weekend in Boston. Then they told Abath there was a warrant for his arrest. And just like that, they lured him away from his desk and away from the only police alert button in the entire museum. So after Abath is in handcuffs, the second guard shows up and he's subdued pretty quickly. And when the thieves finally say, "This is a robbery," you won't believe what the second guard says. Just an incredibly honest response. With both guards tied up in the basement, the thieves had the entire museum to themselves. Now get this, the robbery itself took 81 minutes. That's an eternity for a heist. But the clues they left behind, well, they've done nothing but puzzle investigators for decades. They created way more questions than answers. Okay, this is one of the weirdest parts of the whole crime, the art they chose to steal. I mean, sure, they took a priceless Vermeer and 3 Rembrandts, but then they spent a ton of time wrestling this random Napoleonic eagle finial off a flag. And while they were doing that, they walked right past masterpieces by Titian, Raphael, and Michelangelo that were worth even more. It was just this bizarre shopping list that has stumped experts ever since. You would think, right? After 81 minutes, you'd get a pretty good look at the culprits. The thieves didn't even wear masks. And yet, the descriptions the guards gave were just incredibly vague. Abath later called the police sketch awful, and his only real memory, years later, was that one of the guys kind of looked like a character from an old TV show. Not exactly helpful. Then, in 1994, it seemed like there was a breakthrough. Maybe. An anonymous letter shows up at the museum offering to return the art for $2.6 million. And the person writing it clearly knew details only the thieves would know. But negotiations just fell apart. The author got paranoid, thought it was a police trap, and sent this chilling all-caps message, "You cannot have both." And then, radio silence. They were never heard from again. So with the physical clues basically going cold, investigators had to start focusing on several key theories about who could have possibly pulled this off.
First up, theory number 1, the copycat. This guy, Brian McDivitt, was a known thief with a real flair for the theatrical. And get this, he'd previously planned an almost identical heist. Costumes, duct tape, the whole shebang. The only reason it failed, he got stuck in Boston traffic. Can you believe it? Despite living just 10 minutes from the Gardner, McDivitt always denied he had anything to do with it.
And that, of course, brings us to theory number 2, the classic inside job. And all eyes immediately turned back to our rock and roll security guard, Richard Abath. So the evidence against Abath is all circumstantial, but man, is it suspicious. The motion sensor data from that night just doesn't add up. The sensors picked up Abath walking through a room where art was later stolen shortly before the heist. But then somehow, they didn't record the thieves themselves in that exact same room. How does that happen? And on top of that, video from the night before shows him letting some unauthorized person into the museum, a possible dry run. So what's the deal here? Was Richard Aboth just a bumbling, protocol-breaking guard who got incredibly unlucky? Or was he some kind of criminal mastermind playing the long game, a true Kaiser Soze character hiding in plain sight? He has always maintained his innocence, but the FBI has never officially cleared him.
All right, our final theory comes from a world-renowned art detective, Arthur Brand, and it takes us all the way across the Atlantic. He thinks the crime was pulled off by local Boston thieves, who then sold the art to American gang members. From there, Brand's theory is that the masterpieces were shipped to Ireland to be used as valuable, untraceable assets for high-ranking commanders in the IRA. And this right here is what is so maddening about this whole case. Back in 2013, the FBI announced that they knew, with high confidence, who the thieves were, basically members of a criminal organization from the area. But in the same breath, they admitted they still had absolutely no idea where the art is.
So where does that leave us today? I mean, it's been more than 3 decades since the crime. The thieves themselves are believed to be dead, and the art, it's still missing. For years, there was a massive reward on the table for anyone who could lead to the art's safe return. It started at $5 million. At one point, they even doubled it to $10 million, a number that, made headlines all over the world. But here's the kicker. Even $10 million wasn't enough to bring the art home. That reward has since expired. The statute of limitations for the theft itself ran out decades ago, which means whoever has the art can't even be prosecuted for stealing it. And still, nothing. To this day, if you go to the Gardner Museum, you'll see them. Empty frames still hanging on the walls. They're a permanent, haunting placeholder for the masterpieces that were literally cut out of them. A constant reminder of the world's biggest art heist, and a constant question for all of us. Will they ever be seen again?